Hey Super Horror fam, today we're going to do things a little bit different because I need to multitask. There's a lot of leaves around here, and leaves ruin wood. They ruin wood, so because they hold on to water and then they share it with the wood around it. And they've contaminated everywhere, all over the entire property. There's just leaves everywhere, so we need to fix some of this. So today, I'm going to be doing my thing from outside so I can make sure that the flaming leaves don't burn down the cabin. Alright, so we started over there. And I think I'll walk the yard, grab some tinder. Anyway, so today I wanted to talk about the top 10 signs of demonic infestation. Now, before we start, let's talk a little bit about my theory involving bad energy. All right, you have bad energy and you have good energy, and these things are like oil and water. Even though they're both energy, like oil and water, they're both liquids, they don't combine, right? Like attracts like. Happy people often find themselves surrounded by other happy people. People that are always sad and have never had a good day in their life often find themselves surrounded by other people that are similar, right? You can see this through your friends, family members. It's just the way it works. Like attracts like. When we talk about demonic oppression and infestation, which is generally considered to be stage 1, we're talking about bad energy, okay? I'm going to use the words demonic infestation, but I don't think every bad thing that happens is attributed to a demon, but these bad things all kind of follow a system. So it's almost like maybe you can be possessed by something that isn't a demon. It's not a good thing either, but I don't like labeling things, because I feel like when you start putting things in a box like that, you constrain your own thinking. Your own thinking is compromised. Your freedom of movement, mental movement, is compromised. So, when I think about like a demon, when I think about possession, I'm thinking about bad energy that has an objective, right? Because there's also residual energy. Let's say every time someone goes into some quote-unquote, haunted house or something. Actually, this would be not a quote-unquote, this would be the real thing. Let's say someone gets pushed down the stairs, or they feel the shove, right? Scary, terrifying, right? So you're going and you get pushed and you might go down the stairs, and this is very scary. Well, if it's always the same, and it doesn't matter whether you're a man, woman, anything else, not that residual energy wouldn't work with modifiers too, but we'll just keep things simpler. That looks like residual energy to me. It doesn't appear to be thinking very much. It just does, right? So when I'm thinking about something that can possess, it cannot be residual. It has to be something that thinks a little bit for itself. Maybe something that can be communicated with by some means, negotiated with even, right? That's what we're talking about. So, residual energy, even if bad energy, is predictable, and even though it can be titillating or even scary, something that has some kind of cognitive function would definitely be way scarier. And not everyone's going to agree with me, I'm sure, but it is my belief that when we're talking about something that wants to possess, that the goal is to kill, okay? Or to completely destroy. Now, I've had people argue with me, well, that doesn't make sense, because then once the host is gone, this thing is at square one, and that's only if the goal is not to do as much damage as possible. You can see this in real life. When a virus kills the host, the virus does not have means to replicate itself. Viruses, by definition, are actually not alive. They are, they're some creepy, freaky little machines. All right, we've got a lot of smoke over here, which means fire is a little bit weaker than it should be. I'm going to go hit it with the torch real quick. I'll be right back. It's actually just trying to chew through some snow. There's supposed to be a lot of rain coming and maybe a little more snow coming. And when that happens, it makes burning leaves difficult. People don't know this, or maybe some people don't know this, but starting fires is a fire triangle. It's oxygen, fuel, and heat. Fire makes heat, but it also requires heat. There's a certain amount of activation energy required. So when you have something that is wet or has snow on it, it acts as a deficit. With that, I'm sure most people would understand right off the bat. But anyway, before I officially get into talking about the top 10 signs of demonic infestation, I do want to talk about how I believe there's a step before infestation, and I don't really hear anybody talk about it. It looks like they kind of half balled it up into infestation, but it deserves its own thing. When we think about infestation, all right, if you see an ant in your kitchen, do you have an ant infestation? I mean, you might, it's behind the wall, but you do understand that's not one ant is not an ant infestation. To have an ant infestation, you need a lot of ants. Many, many ants. So, if there was an ant whose goal was to start an infestation, right? Because the infestation doesn't just happen. What would that ant do? The ant might go out. You might have a scout ant, and it's looking for sugar on the floor, right? Or if you wanted to cause the ant infestation, you could go and just grab handfuls of sugar and toss them on the floor. The ants will come, I promise. Okay? So, I believe that when it comes to bad energy, evil energy, demons, I think that everybody, including myself, we're all being watched. Okay? These things are looking to overwhelm you. You might have noticed that, like, sometimes something bad will happen in a day, and then all of a sudden it's followed immediately by 6 or 7 other bad things. And so, well, how could my day get any worse? It can happen. Trust me, it can happen. So, what are we looking at there? I mean, sometimes it could just be, oh, well, this is just strange luck. But other times, if you do the math, like, what are the odds that this and this and this all happen at the same exact time? Or very, very close. If it happens all at the same time, technically, you could use the word coincidence, meaning multiple incidents occurring at the same moment. But even then, I don't really very strongly believe in just coincidences either. So yeah, these things are looking to overwhelm you. Why? Because they are small. One ant cannot infest your home. You can go and just, with your finger, if you hate ants, right? Or you can take it outside. You can do any number of things like that, and nothing happens. When you have something that's stalking you, and it's just waiting for you for a moment of weakness, generally, that means this thing is not as strong as you, or it's concerned about the amount of fight that it would need to take you on. So it waits for you to be distracted, or previously overwhelmed, like maybe something happened and you're like, oh no, I'm overwhelmed by this. But this intelligent spiritual energy is watching. It's waiting. If that's what it wants. So when I say things like this, it makes a lot of people uncomfortable, because they're like, oh, I don't like the idea of something watching me, so they will go and reject the idea very quickly. But I personally, I don't get worried by this, because if this thing is watching me hard, right? Like this thing is studying me. There's something out there that's always looking at Mike, and it wants to kill me. If it hasn't just come out and done it, that means that it doesn't want to take me on like a 1v1 type situation, right? It needs me to be weak. So these stalkers, And I mean, just to give it a name, I call this pre-infestation, right? Because whatever is watching you is there to prepare for infestation. Ooh, here we go. What kinds of things would it do to prepare for infestation? Well, let's go ahead and say day one, right? Let's pretend that today, for whatever reason, a new dark spiritual entity was assigned to me, right? Fire's going okay. It was assigned to me. What's going to happen when it sees me? It's going to want to test the waters. Okay, if one of the puppies has an accident on the floor, does he get upset? Does he start yelling, right? Does his blood pressure go up? Is he worried about anything? Am I worried about food? Am I worried about being sick? All of these things weaken me. And to be fair, these are very real problems. I didn't say anything about anything supernatural right now. Food, that is a biological need. If you are sick or think you might be sick or worried you're not feeling well, that's a very real thing. I don't mix the two up. Oh, well, if you're strong on the inside, nothing can hurt you. You won't need food. No. I live in the real world. I will tell you that at that point you are fighting from a disadvantage, right? Because you have real concerns. Now, me, I'm grateful to say that I don't have those concerns. But everybody has concerns, like puppies making a mess on the floor, right? That's anyone that has a puppy. It's not that, I mean, you don't stop loving the puppy, but you want the puppy to not go on the floor. It's very, very simple. Some people, though, when puppies go on the floor, oh my goodness, they lose their mind. Yelling and screaming, karate chopping the air, you know? If you are worried about your food or any of these other things, you are already in an attenuated state. I promise you that you would be a stronger, better you if you weren't concerned about these things. Okay, it doesn't make you any less of a person. What I'm telling you is I am aware that there's a struggle there that can be taken advantage of, right? Taken advantage of. It's a great way to put it. So the scout comes and tries to see if there's ways for me to get taken advantage of, that it can see. Let's pretend that it found something. Let's make it puppy pee. Why not, right? And this thing knows that, like a magic trick, if a puppy was to pee on the floor, I would overreact. All right, my heart rate goes up. Anger is blind energy. Okay, that was taught to me by Buddhist monk Ajahn Brahm. He says, anger is energy, and that's why people like it. But it's blind energy, and that's why it's so dangerous. So now, this scout, this infestation scout, can see like, oh, okay, look, when this happens, he goes blind. He does it to himself. This is something that can be exploited, right? So, I don't know how much energy it would take to get a puppy to pee on the floor. But I do believe that a lot of what we see in our physical realm are like shadows of things in spiritual realms. So there's some kind of overlap there. I don't fully understand it, but I do know there's a connection. Okay? So, maybe, what if I had a drinking problem? And it's like, okay, so what we have to do is we have to get him to consume enough alcohol for him to lower his faculties, right? His thinking ability. And then we're going to have the dog pee on the floor or maybe even poop. And then he will do something that's not sensible. And these things, they act like positive feedback loop mechanisms. Because if I start screaming at all my dogs, there are two of them that out of excitement, out of happiness, they will pee on the floor. So now I'd be, stop peeing! And then it would pee more, right? That's silliness, but it's true. So if that happens, what does dark energy like? Bad energy, dark energy likes chaos. It likes violence. It likes yelling. It likes blind energy. okay? This thing is going to report back, hey, this house here is ripe, right? I often describe it as a pleasant smell. It's like, oh, it smells like chaos in here, like violence in here. This is a place that I want to be. Anything it can do to experiencing stress would be pleasurable to it. Oh, also, one of the things that, if that's true, that means the opposite is also true. If you are very grateful for what you have, right? If you don't get jealous of other people, like quickly, if you don't, we are not what we do one time. We are what we practice, right? So if you go and you start practicing being jealous and being ungrateful, these are the things that it's the opposite. So, but that means anything that's in the other column, the bad column, the scout will actually do its best to arrange. Why? Because it's not strong enough to take you on. We are all always in like pre-infestation. Okay? I suppose there may be some people that aren't really being watched, but I doubt it because everybody is valuable, right? And there's like the ripple effect. If you might think, oh, I'm not super important. There's no reason for this entity to take note of me or anything. Like I'm really of no account. I don't matter very much. But if you matter to somebody else, then you do matter, because then you are almost like you are a potential obstacle or tool, right? Because it could work in either way. You would either be an obstacle if you make this person laugh often. It might need to, you think, oh, laughs aren't important. Laughs are very important. If you make this person laugh often, and this entity is trying to disarm that person, it needs to stop you from doing that. Now, whether it's by separating or by having the puppy pee on your floor or anything that would cause you to get that blind energy, to get angry, right? It will try. I think a lot of times where we see this is with children. Parents do, and I mean as another parent, the amount of damage that we do to our children in the name of love is crazy, because when you love someone and then you get scared that they're going to get hurt, well, you try to lock them inside. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying every parent does this, and I definitely try to not practice this, but it's easy to fall into that trap of, I'm afraid something will happen to you, so now I have to protect you from everything. And it's like, that's protect you from everything. You can substitute the word world in for everything, right? Because the world is everything. So, and then other times also, as a parent, I probably done this a handful of times. Our thoughts run our lives, and words are thoughts. And I heard someone else say that sometimes when we get upset at our children, we are mad at them for messing up in a way that we would not, but it's not fair because they are lacking the decades of experience we have, right? That doesn't make any sense. Let me go take a seat right here for a moment. That doesn't make any sense. If I have decades more experience than actually any child, right? Because they're a child. Why would I expect them to know the things I know, to think the way I think, even if they were told their mind hasn't even finished developing yet? And just because someone tells you something doesn't mean you shouldn't test that data anyway. So I don't remember when, but at some point I did make a pod. It's like, you know what, I'll explain to you what happened here. I was worried about this and I expected you to know this, and it led to this, and it was incorrect. So it's probably a good idea to just practice giving people the benefit of the doubt. That's probably a good way to counter that. It would probably insulate you from a lot of potential demonic oppression. Being really honest, these things are connected, right? Also, if you took inventory regularly of how fortunate you really are, right? And how strong you really are, right? I don't even mean physical strength. For some of us, we can be like, oh, I'm grateful because I'm physically strong, but and if you can, you definitely should. But I'm talking about mental strength. there was, I've had a lot of friends, especially recently, where things are going difficult. It's a harder time to exist. And the thing I say to almost everybody that I know personally, if I have enough information about you, I already know this isn't the worst day of your life. You know what I mean? One of my friends, it's like I knew her ex-husband. He was terrible. It's like, this is not the worst day of your life. You know what I mean? You've been through harder than this. If you had to choose between today or going back like 6 years and dealing with his nonsense, which one would you choose? I'd pick today. Fantastic. So we already know, based on your own admission, that you are stronger than today, right? Today is not the day that takes you out, and it would probably be difficult for tomorrow to take you out based on the data that we have. And if you look even closer, right, it is a ridiculous amount of time where things that were meant to harm you, someone said something nasty, did something nasty, have in one way or another worked for your good. My physical therapist was a cancer survivor, okay? And she is the one that taught me about something called post-traumatic growth, okay? Post-traumatic growth. And what it means is when you go through something terrible or difficult or whatever, sometimes you're changed forever, all right? My arm will never be the same as it was. It's not bad, it's strong, but I can't stretch it out all the way. I can't bring it all the way in. It's just, but it's a pretty good arm. I like it. Anyway, towards the end of my physical therapy, I began to get very scared because before starting physical therapy, every night I would try making a fist with this hand, and it would literally just do this. I could not make the fist. And what you do is when you're scared, you put yourself in the worst possible scenario, just the absolute worst, and you also remove any potential help that would normally help you. So if you are married and have children, when you go and you do this, you remove your spouse and the kids. I have to fight this monster alone, right? Even though in real life no one would expect that of you, and no one would make you do it. They'd come to your aid, but that's how these things work. So every night, it was horrible. After seeing her once, she taught me how to wrap my hand, and when I would wrap my hand, I was able to make a fist. In the beginning, it was maybe for like an hour, 2 hours at a time, and then it would slowly stop being able to, and I'd re-wrap my hand. I'd be at work, wrap my hand, every time I couldn't make a fist, I'd wrap my hand again, and then I could, right? Anyway, so because of how horrible this was, because I was worried, what if I have to pull my son out of the street or away from some danger? I can't even grip. I'd been in physical therapy for a while, and my grip strength on my right hand was above 90 pounds. It was like 96 pounds. And based on the data we had from when I arrived, how strong my left hand was, we were able to hypothesize, because normally your right hand is roughly 20% stronger than your left, or your dominant hand, I should say. We were able to hypothesize that my grip strength on my right hand was roughly 96 pounds. So I'd made it back. And because your left hand will grow, being the new dominant hand, in step with the right hand, my left hand, when I was done, was, I think the crush strength was like, I don't know, almost 130 pounds of pressure of crush strength, which isn't even like a magical number. I think it's pretty standard. Anyway, there I am doing these exercises, and I'm there at physical therapy, and she didn't tell me it was time to stop. She didn't say, you can't come here anymore, right? Even though she should have. Maybe. It would have been appropriate for her as a medical professional to say, you've come to the end of the line. This is roughly what things are going to look like for you. But she didn't. And it was my second to last appointment with her where I brought some, because what was happening is I'd go there and I'd feel guilty because I'd see people with real injuries. People like when I started, it's like these people need help, and here I am taking up these slots. I'm monopolizing this time that could go to these people. So I felt bad, but the bad feeling I had was countered very quickly by the fear of me not being able to get over some hurdle that I can't even predict now. Now it's an unforeseen potential danger. So I spoke to her about this, and she told me that when she was in remission, after they, I don't know how many tests they did, but they're like, all right, you're officially in remission. The doctor told her, all right, congratulations, I'll see you next year. And she said, what? What do you mean you'll see me next year? I don't remember for appointments then. She said we're weekly or bi-weekly, but she had a lot of doctor's appointments, and she was terrified, right? And the oncologist says, no, like, you're fine. I think he for her comfort, gave her an appointment 6 months later. But she was completely mortified. So she had this experience, this horrible experience, and grew from it. And because she grew from it, I directly benefited. This is the reason why she didn't kick me out. She said, no, you would figure it out, that you didn't need to be here, and then, you just carry on. So even the most terrible things, like a cancer diagnosis, which is, that's a hard one, right? I mean, I've not experienced that, but I can imagine how scary that would be. Even something like that made her a better physical therapist, and now she's pursuing her, it's called a terminal degree. Pretty much she's going to become a doctor of physical therapy. It made her a better physical therapist. My physical therapy was elevated because of her injury and fear and these terrible things she experienced. And now here I am sharing with you. You guys are all people she's never even known, and maybe you hear this and it makes something make sense. The world's an incredible place. As off topic as this is, take the time today to really examine the end results of the abuses and injustices that you have suffered, and maybe recognize that you or other people around you that are depending on you, right? Because me and the physical therapist had no familial love for each other, right? I don't even remember her name, all right? Even though what she did for me was so wonderful. I remembered it now. Took me a minute. All right, but you understand, it's not like we were best friends or anything. She saved me from something terrible. I was dependent on her. Okay? So the horrible things you've gone through, even if what you're doing is trying to protect your loved ones from going through that same thing, right? With love, not in fear, because if you do it in fear, it does create some very terrible results sometimes. But recognize that the people around you have benefited, or if they have not yet, really think about it. Actually, I can almost promise you they have, because karma is instantaneous. I know karma will get you one day. When someone acts like a big jerk, karma has them that day. No one wants to be around that person, all right? And if they keep practicing that, they're going to be left alone. That's what's going to happen. Their punishment will be loneliness, okay? But they're already experiencing teeny tiny vitamin doses of loneliness right now, right? Because they're acting like a jerk right now. No one wants to be near them. So karma is instantaneous. Once you've internalized the injury and kind of figured things out from that position, right? The people around you benefit. Your friends benefit. Your family benefits. Your children, your animals, your goldfish benefits from this new heightened version of you. All right? It's so weird too, because in my head I keep telling myself you got to get back on topic. But right now, if we're talking about demonic oppression and infestation, what I'm telling you right now is literally it's like the opposite. It is the good energy that would help prevent demonic oppression and infestation and the like. So it's a little more relevant than, because stop, pump the brakes. I will not pump the brakes. No one can tell me what to say except me. But So there are 6 recognized steps for possession. I'm using the word recognize because pre-infestation is not on there. But I don't want to say there are 7 steps, because if you look it up online, some places only recognize 4. Most places will recognize 6. Okay. You have infestation, because we're going to skip the pre-infestation phase. Oppression, isolation or obsession. Then there's the actual, like, possession, right? Like where they're starting to really take roots. Manifestation, that's where, so like, possession is kind of like they're in there, they're like in your head, but you're still not acutely aware of it. You might look like someone that's suffering some sort of heightened stress, emotional pressure, right? Or you might even look crazy. Manifestation is a little more like what you see in the movies. Now you have to remember, in the movies, the scary part happens mostly after like some sort of confrontation. But what if there was no confrontation? What happens then, right? What you're looking at there is, they call it depression. I call it culmination. That's where the goal to have you cease existing, so I don't offend any censors, right? The goal to have you cease existing is completed. That's how it always ends. It doesn't end with you, oh, I just feel so down today and blue, I'm depressed. No, the goal is to destroy. So now that I have brought up pre-infestation, I think I did a really good job of describing pre-infestation. We should talk about actually defining infestation. All right. This stage, some people say it's more likely to be like location, like geographical. Infestation can happen to like a house, like that shed over there, right? Like, oh, that place is infested. And it's true, if you have a lot of something, it's very hard to get everybody on the bus and move them around. But remember, we're all always being stalked. I would not be surprised in the slightest if, when you are actively in infestation, if there's not extra scouts on you waiting for things to happen, like for you to get splashed by, a careless driver or something like that. Infestations often manifest through things like noises, shadows. Ironically enough, the feeling of being watched, even though, like I said, it's kind of par for the course. I don't know that that's really escapable. Also, just so you guys know, there's good energy watching people too. Like, I don't want you to think like the world is so scary. The world, there are scary things, but the world is made for exploring, not for hiding in fear. So the idea of an infestation is you want the demon is trying to take up, like, it's like when you and your siblings were pushing each other like around, and you run into your room and you're about to close the door, and your sibling puts their foot in the door so it can't be closed. That's what infestation. It wants to take up a position that's really hard to get out. Okay? So, what are the 10 signs you would see during the infestation stage, right? And also, because I have a small amount of experience here, I'm not an exorcist with that, but I have had I've had demonic experiences, all right? So I do have in my mind like some natural counters for these things. I'm looking at this tree, it's standing deadwood, which means it would be good for burning. So here's a list of 10 and some counters to these. Here are the 10 and some counters to these infestation tactics. We have disturbed sleep patterns. All right, sleep is so incredibly important. So if you are having a difficult time sleeping and you've not really changed a lot, right? Like, let's pretend you've always eaten the same dinner, like, just everything is all the same, which is impossible, but but now, for whatever reason, your sleep is not good. Something's going wrong. Okay? There are vitamins that you can take to help you calm down. All right? Also, synthetic vitamins can cause stress to your system. If your body's not getting enough real vitamins, it will hold on to the fake ones, but like with an iron grip, and this causes stress. So this is one of those things where I do believe a little bit of nutrition can go a long way. Okay, so I'm not a doctor. This is not medical advice. Blah, 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 blah. I think it's B1, benofomate. I think that's it. I will have to go and put it in the description. But it's used to help you relax. If you are someone that is particularly jittery, some people report after taking it they feel relaxed almost immediately. Cod liver oil helps the brain communicate. So if you are under a lot of mental stress and pressure, some cod liver oil can definitely be helpful. Magnesium. Magnesium is a natural muscle relaxer. So if there's stress in your body, that can help you move it along. Okay. The next one is emotional strain. You got to make time to do things for yourself. All right. Your emotions are actually like a thermometer for your vibrations. We're not going to go into all that right now because I've already spoken so much. So if you're unhappy, you're probably not doing something you should be doing. Maybe you need more time outside, right? Maybe you need time walking the yard or walking to a park. Maybe you should be hiking. Maybe you should be doing a little bit of exercising. Maybe you've been really stressed from other things, and some stress is crazy because it eats your time. Like you could be stressed out about any number of things and it somehow eats the time, and then you are more behind the eight ball for that thing you were stressed about, right? That's pretty bad. So examine, because sometimes things that you do to survive your workday are being done to survive days when you're not even working. Like if you drink coffee all the time to get through your workday, if I have a headache and I'm at work, I have to be at work. I'll take the painkiller and carry on. You do what you got to do. But when I'm at home, if I have a headache, I will try to rest it away. Does it always work? No, of course not. And if it gets above like a 4, because sometimes I get really horrible headaches, like they can be really bad. So once it gets to above a 4, I'm not risking it anymore. But at work, once it's at a 2, it's like, no, why? Because I have to function. The things that you do to get by when you're working should not be the things you do to get by on days that you're not working. Give yourself extra time. Give yourself extra patience. Just don't put as much pressure on yourself. You might think like, well, what if I burn a day doing that? Well, I mean, what if you burn 8 days doing that, right? I've done it. I've done it before, and I know that doesn't mean a whole lot because it's hard to quantify suffering. It's like, well, how do I know your headache is as bad as mine? What's your 4 look like? What's this look like? What's that look like? Actually, to quantify it a little bit, when I shattered my elbow, I had a concussion. I couldn't remember anything, and maybe a year afterwards, I read the reports from the paramedics and the hospital. I was reporting an 8 out of 10 pain. That's a crazy amount of pain. I don't report 8 out of 10 pain, so it's like that's pretty bad. So if I'm saying a 4 headache and shattered elbow, you can do the math. If you're always tired and it's your day off, instead of trying to drink coffee to force yourself awake, why don't you try something to help yourself rest? Why don't you try drinking some tea? Well, that'll put me to sleep. Well, maybe your body needs sleep. Okay. And of course, I do believe in following that with other nutrition on a case-by-case sort of thing. Again, not a doctor. But if you need a lot of rest and you're used to drinking coffee, there's a pretty good shot that you are beating your adrenals pretty bad. So you'd want to do things to force your adrenals to disengage. Like, you know what I mean? You want a very calm, peaceful, just kindness to yourself. You know, another thing to consider is that if you're one of those people, right, and you're like, I can't rest today. Well, why? Because I have to do the laundry and this and that. Like, I have all these things to do. You know, sometimes if you give yourself a little space, you can find a more efficient way to get that stuff done. And I know that's really hard to do. And when things are going poorly for me, right, when I can't handle, I call Sammy on the phone. But see, that I'm extremely lucky, right, because I can do that. And I'll let her know. I'm like, listen, this is the problem here is I can't find the solution. All right, this is the only solution I see, and I know this is a bad solution because even though it logically makes sense, it's going to probably hurt somebody's feelings, okay? And she, time and time again, just comes up with, with something that's so simple, something I should have thought of, right? But I was not in the position, right? Why? Probably because low vibrations. My emotional state, I was feeling bad. I said earlier, if your emotions are bad, if you have pain inside of you, that's low vibrations. You're not your best self when you're vibrating low. Number 3. 3 is strange behavior from your pets. Okay? Now, you guys know me. I love my puppies. I trust them, right? Especially Jack. Jack is the more cautious one of the group. If Jack starts acting away, the smaller ones, they just run and play. Jack is a rescue, okay? So Jack has seen much more, he's seen infinitely more cruelty than they have. They've never experienced anything like he's experienced. He used to be afraid of feet, just if he just saw a foot. And so that tells he was probably kicked a lot, right? Now, we've had him since 2018. We got him on Halloween 2018. And now, if we're all laying down at night, like watching TV, I can touch him with my foot, and he doesn't jump. It's like a miracle, right? It's incredible. But anyway, so I trust Jack. When Jack starts looking into the woods, it doesn't mean that he's always right, and he is definitely more cautious than I need to be. But there are dangerous things in the woods, right? And he also has a lot of confidence when me and Sammy are around. Why? Because we're bigger than him. We showed him we can protect him. We give him food. So for him to, pull back, it's like, all right, you're a little more cautious than you need to be. But at the same time, do you know of every danger in those woods? No, we're going home. That's the only rule that we have. Always make it home, right? That's it. Everything else you can take care of tomorrow if you make it home today. So, your pets. If your pets are acting in a way that would warrant concern, give it the concern that it deserves, right? Same thing with kids. People are so dismissive of children and pets and things like that. But pets specifically, I have good reason to believe, like their huge ears, that they can detect things that I can't detect. Okay, 4 is... smoke was just in my face. It's so fun. Unexplained smells, sulfury smells, that sort of thing. When you get to there's a big problem. You might be tempted to just try to Febreze the smells away or something like that, but remember, this is sugar being thrown on the floor. This bad energy likes chaos, and it probably enjoys a horrible smell, right? Because it makes you uncomfortable, and you are the target. Keeping you off center is the goal. Smells could also be the smell of blood, the smell of decay. And if something's goal is to eliminate somebody, blood and decay might be aromas that it really enjoys, because it might be hoping that you smell like that in the near future, right? So how do you counter something like this? Because now this is actually holding on to the environment, okay? You do in fact need to mask the smell, but there's more to it than that. You can't have yourself uncomfortable in your home. You'll get pushed out, okay? So you do have to overwhelm the smell. But I would also put on really happy music, all right? And I'd put it on loud, not in headphones. Loud, happy music. And I'd walk through my rooms, and I'd mention that I'm grateful for, the soft chairs that I have, right? That I have a soft place to sit. I would be grateful for my pets. I should take you guys through a walkthrough of the inside one of these days. We have plants in there, okay? We have a small tabletop hydroponic system, and it's wonderful to have things that are alive in your house, all right? Even if you're like, well, I don't want a pet, I can't take care of a pet. A cactus. I'm being serious here. A cactus, it's like, this is my cactus. It's alive, and it's here with me. Because things that like death don't like life. I would talk out loud about how today is an excellent day, even if I don't feel that way in my heart. When I'm saying it out loud, I will point to things that I should feel excellent about, right? I'm not just lying. Oh, I'm so grateful that the sky is pink. No, that's not... Actually, the sky can be pink and beautiful, sunset and sunrise, that sort of thing. But I don't know. Like you wouldn't say, I'm glad the grass is red. Okay? You would want to pick things that you are actually happy about, grateful for. Because to a demon, this is like nails on a chalkboard. Okay? They don't want to hear that you're grateful for anything. Any kind of gratitude is off-putting to them. In fact, the loud music and the gratitude out loud spoken, right? And then, of course, candles for breeze, so the place is pleasant. Now you're generating happiness as a positive feedback loop mechanism working on your behalf. This is actually kind of like giving the foul smell to the bad energy. It won't want to be around you, okay? It'll be like punishment to be near you because of the frequency that you're vibrating at, okay? The sensation of being watched is number 5 for infestation. Now, I've already said it a million one times, not going to really get into it, but we are being watched. Bad and good things, okay? But we are primarily concerned with the bad things right now. Just remember, if something's watching you, it means that it's not strong enough to take real action against you, okay? That right here, where we're at right now, is probably the limit of what I would try to do if I was alone, okay? There was an exorcist, a guy that worked with Ed and Lorraine Warren. He was on The Truth About Beer. I don't know if the episode's still up because, much like Mike the Naked Bigfoot, I have trouble finding their episodes sometimes. I'll go check it out though. He said that the easiest way to get a demon out of a place, like de-infestationifies a place, is to, he said, bring in a skeptic, someone that won't believe at all. And because this person will make whatever's there feel powerless repeatedly, right? And then it doesn't want to be there anymore. So for a lot of the other things I'm going to say, I would invite someone over that is a skeptic, that doesn't believe at all, and I'd invite them over for a movie and popcorn and dinner or multiple friends, right? But you have to see, if everyone starts becoming afraid, then you're making the problem worse. You need people that are like, nope, I don't believe in this. I believe only in science. You need one of those people. It takes all sorts, right? So I went inside and I looked at the video, and there were several cuts made in that video. I did it several times. There's like a little timer and stuff, and when you tell it to stop recording, it gives you the option whether or not you want to save the recording or not. It's one of those fancy apps, and that's some of the wood that I split. Yeah, there you go. The part where I talk about what I would do if things got really, really bad got cut off. That was the part that got cut off. So, we're going to do it again. I'm over here. I'm literally I'm focusing on the timer. Like, I see you. I see you're going. So you have to be functional, right? Okay. See it. So number 6 would be cold spots or temperature changes. And with cold spots or temperature changes, now you're looking again at something that's really pushing into our sensory capable, world, we'll say. The part of the world that we are, I would imagine, to be the strongest. And again, because these things generally don't want to confront you. So at this point, I do believe I mentioned in the last cut, I would not try to do any of this alone at this point, or with your pets or whatever. Like your pups and animals in your live things are fine up until a point, but for something like this, it's once we reach here, it's pretty serious. So first thing, you do have to control your environment. I would turn on heat. I would make my place very inviting, warm, and then I would invite a skeptic over, right? I think I brought up The Exorcist. I think that was like the last thing I said in the last cut, so we'll leave that there. It is important to maintain control of your surroundings. That is your home. I'm sure that whatever is harassing you also thinks of it as their home. It has to be more your home than their home. But again, like infestation, this stuff is very scary. So you bring over a skeptic, watch a movie, invite them over for popcorn. You can have multiple people come over, but if you do, don't make sure they're not scared too. That would be a problem. The next thing is electrical disturbances. That's number 7. Okay, Now, number 7 being electrical disturbances. That's something more that you just have to be prepared for, okay? Again, not something I would fight alone, okay? For electrical disturbances, you have to be prepared for electrical disturbances. Kind of same like out here in the woods if the power goes out, right? I have a game plan. I have apps on my phone that I have some movies saved on. Sometimes the power goes out, but my Wi-Fi, my router's still active. Sometimes it's not. If the tree hit, if whatever took down the power also took out the cable, then I have to go with whatever I have recorded, right? But otherwise, I can still go and stream YouTube movies. If I thought it was some sort of supernatural attack, I'd make sure I watched things that I thought were hilarious. I find YouTube shorts, movies that I enjoy that I think are really funny would be an excellent choice. Number 8 is physical sensations. If you start feeling like something is touching you, that's terrifying. It's important, though, to keep yourself in, like, the moment. So you're going to want to engage your senses as good as you can. If it were me and I were in a world where I was the last man alive, right now I have no friends to come to my aid, I would start talking in a loud voice, okay? I would do whatever I could to take up as much space as I possibly could. There's a pretty good shot that I would start singing like a silly song even, but loudly, like Old Man River, okay? I don't want to sing it now because I think that's still under, I think someone still owns the copyright on that one, and it would be really silly to get flagged for it. But at work, when I used to work overnight with Sammy, sometimes I'd walk into a room, and I was a supervisor for, I was a floor supervisor, and I would just start singing Old Man River in this really deep voice. Obviously not as deep as the original artist, Paul something, I think, but I could be wrong. But it would make people laugh. They thought it was silly. It's just silliness. But I would practice that silliness. If somebody is aiming, or something is aiming to make me scared and make me want to be small, take up less space, be still like I'm being hunted, and I start making big, loud noises, this is a challenge. It's pretty much, if you want to get me, I am right here. You're welcome to come and make an attempt. Okay? Why? Because when we're talking about things like energy, right? Do lions worry about being stalked by predators? Rarely, right? So if something was there and it's messing around that way, it's trying to get me into a weakened state. If it had the power to go and take me head on, it would have done it already. You understand what I'm saying? It would have made its move. The fact that it still hasn't made its move, that means it's setting traps. Okay? I know what trap setting looks like. I'm a Scorpio. I know exactly what that's about. In Spanish astrology, Scorpio is actually represented by the spider, the trap setter. So, yeah, you're not going to fool me with that nonsense. Okay. Now, the last 2 things, and this is something that I was like, I can't believe these are the things that got taken out. Actually, I went off on a tangent the last time, and I'm going to just put it in right here. This time it's not a clean tangent, but whatever. I actually mentioned about, I spoke about frequencies and vibrations, and low vibration and high vibration. I've been talking about it throughout this conversation, but I actually asked you guys, if you want me to talk, like just make a talk about like frequencies, vibrations, law of attraction. You know what I mean? I know a lot of people think about the law of attraction as some kind of magic genie. Oh, you can have everything you want and this and that. And, okay, yeah, sure, I mean, but if you are looking at it like a genie in a bottle and it doesn't start granting your wishes, you're going to become upset. I did not get all of my wishes. I want a farmhouse, right? That's what I want. I want a farmhouse, and I want more land. There's a couple of things that I'm looking for. I'm looking for fewer neighbors, right? I like peace and quiet. I come from the city. It's a very loud place. And, I mean, it's a wonderful place, restaurants and plays and things like that. And all that stuff is wonderful to enjoy. I think I had enough of it by the time I was 20. I don't mind going, I still go to the movies and things like that, and I'll go to a restaurant here and there, but quiet is peace. Well, for some people, quiet is terrifying if you can't be left alone with your own thoughts. I'm not one of those people, though, and maybe that's why this ties in. Sometimes I feel like my tangents have purpose, right? Like right now, I just went full circle. I'm very comfortable with myself. I'm very happy with myself. I have happiness inside of me, all right? And it's not because everything is perfect. I live in the same reality that you all do. When I shattered my elbow, it's wiped out any savings that I had. Like it was catastrophic, and we're still recovering from this. But clearly that was not what was needed for me to experience happiness inside of myself. So if this is something, it's very different from what we normally do, but if this is something that you guys would like me to talk about, I don't mind putting out a video just on like frequencies and vibrations, and not for some magic genie, make my wishes come true, I want all of this stuff, but more about inner peace and kindness, gentleness, and patience directed inwards. Okay? So when I first saw that it didn't record, I was like, this is like when I was like watching, I was like, that's part of it though. And I thought it was interesting, and I did wonder to myself quietly if maybe it wasn't done intentionally. Like I said, I can see, I know how to press a button. I'm mindful of the timer. And then when you press the button again, I could not have accidentally like fat fingered the button and then it just vanished because it pulls, a pop-up comes up. Do you want to save this record? It goes right in the center of the screen. I can't miss it. Okay. Even with my vision, I can't miss this. So in case that is significant information for somebody, not only is it back in there, but I did it even harder and better. And that's circle right back. Something's trying to stop you, and all it does is it makes the situation worse. It's discouraging for this thing. So the last two things. We have noises, I put at number 9, and we have seeing things, apparitions, shadows at number 10. The noise is at number 9 because a noise can be anything from hearing light footsteps or little scratches, things that could really just be the wind howling, right? There's all kinds of like little things, but noise can also be as jarring as hearing somebody screaming. There's like banging noises that sometimes are heard, and these things can be terrifying. Actually, at a minimum, let's take me again. I hear something, okay, I've been startled. Okay, that doesn't mean I'm afraid of the thing, but I am startled. Anybody, like I can be startled by a little mouse. I'm not afraid of mice. They're little, who would I be scared of? It doesn't even weigh 1 pound, right? But you get startled, and getting startled is a fantastic foot in the door to make you scared. It's because your heart rate's already gone up, you got the adrenaline dump, and your brain, when these things happen, can't tell the difference between cause and effect. It gets muddied. All right, they did this really cool experiment, I think it was at Six Flags, where they showed a bunch of people before they got on a ride pictures of people of the opposite sex, and we're like, rate these people on a scale of 1 to 10, and then they put them on the ride, and then they showed them the photos again. Not the same ones. They were the same person, and the poses were very similar, but they were not the same exact photos, and they had them rate them again. Everybody scored higher. You see this also when there's a new kid in class or a new person at your job. There's excitement about the new person. They're mysterious. So because this person is different, mysterious, your heart beats a little faster. It makes you accidentally think they're more attractive than they are. It's not that they're unattractive, but if you're like, wow, that person is a solid 10, maybe a strong 8.5, right? Right? It's just because when you're by them and your heart's beating a little, your brain can't tell if it's beating harder because it can't figure it out at all. So there's that data. Now you know that. So noises, I put at number 9, but I recognize some noises might be almost nothing, and other noises can start. So no matter who you are, you could be, the toughest person on the planet, that noise comes to you unexpected, you're going to get scared. It's okay. And for these two things, we'll say for the dramatic end of noises, that's the reason why it's number 9, and for number 10, seeing things, I cannot tell you what I would do for these things, because what I would do is different from what you should do. Excuse me. This sort of thing is very, very personal. Okay, I have a specific background. I've been to specific places. I've done specific things. The way Medicine Horse would solve that problem would be very different from me. Even if it looked similar, let's pretend that we followed the same exact steps, right? 100%. Where is it different? It's different here and here, right? Just like Medicine Horse said. Okay? So the same way, it's like, it's not about what I'm doing. At that crazy level, it's not about what I'm doing. It's about what's going on here and what's going on up here. Once I had this friend, she was a thief, dumb, and she went and stole from a store that sold goods for people that practiced magic. And I don't mean the card tricks, I mean with a K. Why would anybody steal from someone that practices magic? I don't even know. Anyway, she had this incredible string of bad luck follow immediately after. Like, we're all sitting there like, this is crazy. So we were apart for probably whatever her weekend was, right? Because we worked together. So she was gone, whatever her Friday was, and then Saturday, Sunday, whatever that was for her, because we didn't all have off on the weekend at the lab. Then she came back. And when she came back, she's like, I don't know what to do. And it's like, what do you mean? She goes, I buried the thing, and like, I still have horrible luck. So I was like, you buried the thing? She said, yeah. And I was like, I don't know about you, but where I come from, there's only 2 things that we bury: dead things and things we want to grow. Why would you bury that? That thing wasn't dead. And then what? It's like, yeah, what the hell were you thinking? Well, what am I supposed to do? I was like, well, if you're really lucky, someone will steal it from you. You have to find your your truths. You know what I mean? Like, I say truths, but really what I really want to say, but it's hard, is you have to find as close as you can to one truth, and that's really hard to find because we're talking about very complicated things. One truth is the thing that ties your belief system together. So for me, it very much is about energy, right? Because I can see energy working in science, and then I can see it in reality, and it ties enough of it together where it's like, and everyone's one truth really should be flexible, because I get new data in every day. If I get in some data and there is a bigger truth, right, than energy, or maybe a more specific truth, I don't know enough about waves and things like that, but if I found out and it's like, oh no, it's these waves here, right, but I don't have that understanding yet. Even though it's the only one you've seen, this is the second time that I'm going to sign off. I do hope that you all take very good care of yourselves. You are very important. You matter. As a part of the community, you matter. But and I mean, it sounds like a platitude. It really does. I promise you, it's not hollow. You belong here right now. Maybe not yesterday, maybe not tomorrow, right? And that's okay. Maybe tomorrow something wonderful happens and everything changes, and you're like, you know what? I don't want to hear scary stories anymore. It's fine. It's fine. Doesn't bother me at all. Please go, have a good life. But for right now, you're here, and I'm glad. All right, so take good care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next one.